Hey, what's up, my fellow human beings? I hope that this video finds you all alive, breathing, and on this incredible ride that we are all on together. Everyone alive on the planet right now is sharing an incredible moment in, I don't know if you want to call it time, but we're all in this together, right here, right now. And life is not supposed to be up, 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 and happiness constantly. It's going to be ups and downs, ups and downs. I just finished up a coaching session right now, and I just had a few things on my mind, and I wanted to share with everyone about sort of. First of all, in this video, I'm going to go through the most important gems, the most important techniques that I share with my private clients. So I guess this page or this video is going to be a landing page that I'm going to start directing a lot of people to, whether it's my clients or just anyone who comments. I'm going to direct a lot of people to this page, and down below underneath the video in the notes I'm going to write down all of this as well, and in a few minutes I'm going to start going through the most important things that you will need to start doing if you're going through a breakup, a loss, divorce, anything, where you feel like you've lost something and you need to move forward, okay? But before I get into that, I want to talk about the feeling sorry for yourself, alright? Don't feel sorry for yourself. Okay, yeah, it's easy to say don't feel sorry for yourself, but how do you do it? Alright, well look, first of all, let me tell you why. I'm pretty direct and blunt, even with my clients. I'm very, can't think of the word, but I'm just very straight up. I'm very straight up. I am not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm going to share with everyone I can what you need to do, why you need to do it, and then the rest is up to you. I will help my best to try to help you understand why and help you absorb these things. And it does take time to understand. It does take time to absorb a lot of these principles, concepts, and techniques. And let me tell you why, for example, on the topic of feeling sorry for yourself. When you're going through a breakup, when you've let go of someone, when you've lost someone, there is this tendency that we all have that we want to talk about it. We want to talk about that person. We want to talk about why they've done this, what they could be doing right now, why, how could they have done what they did? How could they be so hurtful and cold? How much fun they're having now, and it's all about them. It's all about them. Why? And it's, I was just talking to someone earlier and I brought up the example of it's like eating Big Macs or, the French fries from McDonald's. I mean, that stuff is so delicious. The French fries from McDonald's, I haven't eaten it for years, but that stuff is so delicious. It's so good, and Big Macs are so delicious. They're tasty, they feel good, but they bring us down. They weaken us. They're bad for the health. Okay, but they taste good in that brief moment. They taste good and they feel good in that brief moment. And it's the same when we talk about the people that we have lost. We want to talk about them. We just want to talk about them because it's like it goes to contact or no contact. When we break contact with someone who was so much a part of our life, or such a dear part of our life, someone who was important, special part of our life, someone that we cared about and just loved, or really liked or really enjoyed being with. When that person is no longer there, we crave some sort of contact with them. And if we are strong enough to do the no contact, to create distance so that we can heal, move forward, etc., then we start to look for the next best thing. And ultimately, eventually we'll get to just thinking of the person. That's like our last remnants of contact. This is why it's hard to let go, because moving on means putting your attention and your thoughts onto yourself, onto your goals in life, onto what interests you, onto creating a new path forward. Kind of like if you're using Google Maps or one of these navigators and you miss your exit, then it will say recalculating route, and then it will recalculate a new way to get to your destination. That's exactly very similar to what's going on with you right now. When you go through a breakup and it's broken up and you've lost this basically your vision of where you were going has now just kind of gone, like in the map that kind of route just disappears, and then you need to recalculate a new route. So what you need to do, and it's not easy, but what you need to do is just put your attention more on the future, on creating that new route, and so it's your goals, etc., etc. Okay? And when we want to hold on, and when we want to talk about that person, we might find some of our friends or family, we might find certain people that will indulge us in doing so. It could be your mom, it could be your dad, it could be your brother or sister, it could be a friend that is going to allow you to talk about this person. And look, I have nothing against it. I think it's important. Actually, one of my core ways of looking at healing in any situation is that you need to process things. And why it's important to process, why it's important to talk about these things, like, okay, yes, talk about that person, talk about what they could be doing, talk about how cold they were, or how could they have done what they did. Yes, talk about how much fun they might be having. Talk about all of those negative thoughts that actually hurt and bring you down and do nothing to help you make you stronger. They do nothing to improve your life. They're like the Big Mac, like the French fries. They just feel and taste good at the time because it's your only final connection to that person, to the drug, but they bring you down. But it's okay. Talk about it. Talk about it. Why? Because in order to move forward, you're going to need to come up with positive counter thoughts to those negative thoughts. By that I mean that if you have a negative thought, for example, that how could this person be so cold and show me so much coldness and hurt me and not care and not love me, you're going to need to, in your mind, come up with an argument to stand up against that negative thought. And the whole process of talking about, and going through this is so that you can come up with arguments and counter positive thoughts for every negative thought that you're having. Okay, so this is why one of the most important things that I train people with is journaling their negative thoughts, putting them all down on paper. Every day when you have negative thoughts, writing them down, and then to every negative thought, coming up with 2 or 3 counterbalances. And I look at this more because I guess I train martial arts, I look after my physical strength and health. I look at this kind of as if you're going to the gym. So whenever one of these negative thoughts pop up, how could he be so cold and heartless and just move on to someone else so quickly? The counter to that is because they are empty, they are lost, they are hurt, they are depressed, they are not this happy, powerful, strong person we're making out to believe, they are just as lost and hurt as we are, and their way of dealing with it, their way of filling up that emptiness is to immediately go into a rebound. And they are going to wind up hurting themselves more and more by doing so because they're not facing it and dealing with it. So what I just did there right now is an example. And I've been doing this for a long time now, well, about just over 2 years. So, I've created a habit of like when negative thoughts come up, whether it's anything to do with my gym, like, I'm not getting stronger, then I immediately will counter that with a thought that actually helps me rather than that thought that just doesn't do any good for me at all. So I've gone into a habit of that, and this is what we all have to do. We have to develop these muscles. And I look at it kind of like how I look at my physical strength training. This is mental strength training. So every time a negative thought about your ex or whatever pops up, you've got to hit it with some reps of positive thoughts. Hit it with at least 2 or 3. Okay? And then what you're doing is you're training your mind to handle and deal with those negative thoughts. And you're not going to have an endless stream of unique negative thoughts. You're going to find that it's going to be the same thoughts over and over again. And once you learn to come up with arguments against them, counterbalances is what I like to call them. Once you come up with counterbalances and you come up with more and more, it can be hard at first to do the first counterbalance. I remember when I first started, I couldn't really think of any because my mind was more conditioned and geared towards negative thinking. So it was hard for me. It's like when you do push-ups for the first time in, let's say, 10 years or 5 years. We've spent most of our lives allowing negative thoughts to take control, so it becomes hard to see the positive. But that's why we do this. We do this to develop the positive mental strength conditioning. Okay? This is what we are doing. This is what my coaching is all about. This is what we all have to start working on little by little each day. Mental strength conditioning. Okay? So, as you start to process or talk to whoever is indulging you to talk about your ex or the loss or whatever, use it as a way to get all your negative thoughts out on the table so that you can observe them and then deal with them and process them. Okay? And it could mean that you're going to be repeating it a few things, but don't indulge in it too much. Don't wallow in it. Don't eat too much of the French fries from McDonald's, okay? They put MSG in that shit. If they put MSG on cardboard and you ate it, you'd be enjoying the cardboard, okay? So know that it feels good, it tastes good, but it's not good for you. You're actually consuming crap for the mind. Every time you start to like wallow and be like, oh, how could she do this? How could he do this? How could he be so heartless? Oh, he's having so much fun. She's having so much fun. Their life is so much better without me. I will never be happy. These are all thoughts that do not help us in any way. Okay? So, processing is important, and as I said, I'm very direct. I'm just going to tell you all what you need to do, and then it's up to you to do the work. So without further ado, I'm going to dive into, I guess you can call it my personal, well, it's not my, it's basically all the knowledge that I have learned from great people, great sources, teachers, books, and I've custom tailored my own way of these are the things that I feel have been the most powerful of all. And again, it all comes down to conditioning your mind. Our mind is like a muscle. Okay? It can be conditioned to be negative and think negatively. And when it is in that zone, which it is for most human beings, it's just always going to be leaning that way. So you're always going to see things negatively. You're always going to see things, in that way that your mind is conditioned. Positive people who have managed to get into the lean towards positive thinking, are it's going to be much more easier for them to see the positives, see the opportunities, okay, in those situations. So, get on with the strength training. It's going to help you significantly, and you don't need to like turn it around 50-60%, even just 5%. For me, like, doing a little bit of this, I would say I did about maybe 5 to 10% of mental strength conditioning through what I'm about to share with you, and it had a huge impact on my life. Huge. All right, so let's dive into this now. Or maybe I should put this in a separate video. Sure, I'm going to put this in a separate video, and I'm going to call this video that I just did, why not to feel sorry for yourself, okay? And why it's good to process things, but don't wallow. Don't, the darkness is overrated. And you're only going to wallow and be, in this zone, if you want to. If you really want to get better, if you've really like had enough of the darkness, the depression, the emptiness, the not moving forward in life, you're going to wake up. You're going to be like, I can't do this anymore. I need to get on with my life. Okay? So there are people who are more ready than others to do this. And some people who are hungrier than others. And it's usually those who are suffering more. The people who suffer more do not want to suffer. The people who hit rock bottom do not want to stay there. Okay? So don't wallow in that. Don't indulge it too much. If you have friends or family who are listening to you talking on and on and on about your ex and this and this and that, that's great, but use it, like I said, to put all your negative thoughts out on the table, okay? And then watch my next video, because I'm going to go ahead and record it right now, and I'm going to talk about basically I'm going to call it my own personal Bible, or my guide to strengthening yourself through a breakup or a loss and coming out so much more powerful than you were before the relationship even. Alright people, so hope this video helps, and then check out my next one for the guide. Alright, talk to you in a bit. Bye.